hearing bad enough about us.
They're gonna go in there and see, they're
From
gonna
that
try and
case,
put a
okay.
balloon in it to expand it.
But it was
That
different
won't
then.
work, they're gonna try and run another two.
Yeah, it was
one down.
disturbingly loud.
Let's hope they can.
Yeah.
If not,
So we didn't stick around
make
after
the best
that.
of
We
it.
just left.
How's everybody tonight? We're all here
We're
anyway,
here anyway,
except for
right?
this guy.
Is he not coming tonight?
I don't, I suspect he will be. Especially on the rate study, because that's one of his pet peeves. That's awesome.
Okay, time being 6 o'clock, I'll call this workshop to order, kind of, and turn it over to Chris.
Not used to sitting down and talking to this thing, so sorry about that. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, we'll start off the workshop with our water and wastewater rate analysis. We're going to have it started off with a presentation by Savannah Page and Dave Yonke. Savannah's going to start the first half, and then Dave's going to start the second half on that for us. And then we'll have a question and answer period with that. So with that, I'll turn it over to Savannah.
Oh, there we go. There it is. Hi, my name is Savannah Page. I'm a senior consultant with Nugent. We were tasked with doing a water and wastewater cost of service study and rate design for the city of Green River. So on the agenda for today, I'll start going through the purpose of the study as well as how we construct a revenue requirement. We'll go into the pieces of that, including the capital improvement plan for the city's water and wastewater utilities, as well as our test year basis. And then I'll pass it over to Dave Yonke, who will go into the water and wastewater rates, what the over and under recovery for the utilities look like at current rates if you were to do no rate increase over the next 5 years, and then what our proposed rates look like and what the revenue over or under recovery looks like at those proposed rates. And then lastly, bill comparisons of what the average resident and commercial bill looks like at current rates versus our proposed rates. So the purpose of this study was to develop a 5-year forecast of the operating and capital costs for both the water and wastewater utilities. And then once we do that, we create a revenue requirement. Those 5 years are fiscal years 2026 to 2030 for this 5-year forecast. And then based on that, we determine the revenue sufficiency under your current rates, which would be for fiscal year 2026. Then we would develop the residential commercial rates, proposed rates, to ensure the financial integrity of the utility, and then show what that revenue sufficiency would look like under those proposed rates. All right, next I'm going to get into the revenue requirement, how we generate that. So the revenue requirement, what we're looking at is taking the utilities operating and maintenance expenses plus the rolling stock replacement. So these are vehicles that the utilities use and replace regularly, as well as any capital improvement projects. Those three pieces combined are what we base the revenue requirement on, and that revenue requirement is the amount of money we want to generate from your services, and that's what we base our rates on. We want to look specifically at the capital improvement plan for the utility. As you can see, for the water and wastewater utilities over the next 5 years, there's about $55 million worth of capital planning projected through fiscal year 2030, largely in part due to the wastewater treatment plant. As you can see, that sort of breaks down. Water capital funding is about $9 million of those dollars, and then wastewater is $46 million, generating a total capital funding for the next 5 years of $55 million. And here's the debt-funded CIP projects, and this is the majority of that capital spending over the next 5 years. You can see there's the wastewater treatment plant construction, as well as some tank rehabs and that lagoon sludge disposal. And so that makes up 50.5 million. And again, these are debt-funded projects, and those debt funds will, you'll start making those payments. We're forecasting in 2027, and then the lagoon sludge will start in 28, and then that upland tank rehab in fiscal year 29. And so here we have the test year, and so our test year is based on the fiscal year 2025 budget. We took that budget, your personnel, your operating and maintenance costs, as well as any transfers, and we generate the net revenue requirement for water and wastewater. We based off of 2025 budget, and then we inflate these costs for fiscal years 2026 through 2030. So the basis of our test year is $3.1 million for 25, and then we inflate from there for fiscal years 26 through 2030. And then for wastewater, we have a test year, a net revenue requirement of $2 million for wastewater. All right, now we're gonna move into the water rates.
Okay, so what we'll do is start off and just talk about where your current water rates are. So these are your base rates, and again, these reflect the increases that were put in place for fiscal year 2026. So we're showing those increases. So your standard residential customer, $26 per month on the minimum charge, and then the volumetric rates you can see on the right side. Again, the first tier, they do get some water, approximately 268 cubic feet, that's free. Or it's embedded, nothing is free, it's embedded in the minimum charge. On the wastewater side, similar residential minimum bill is $25.80 per month, same for the commercial customers. The volumetric rates, you pay for all consumption there, and you can see that's just under 6 cents for that per cubic foot. So we want to look at, and I know there are a lot of numbers here, so I'm just going to actually kind of focus on a couple lines here. If I move away from the microphone, is that okay? Are you recording? Okay. So what I want to focus on is your over-under line right here. So fiscal year 2026 for water, you're about $300,000 over recovery, so you're in good shape. You had those rate increases. You can see you start to have a bigger loss each year, so that by the end of the period with no rate increases, you're under recovering about $750,000, or on a cumulative basis, about $1.3 million. That's with no rate increases beyond what you did for fiscal year 2026. For wastewater, again, you're building a plant. You heard Savannah, there's $40 million of debt that's coming online. So again, you're in good shape for fiscal year 2026. Again, you were proactive with that rate increase, so it puts you in good shape, so you're over recovering $577,000. But then, as it starts to increase in 2027, even with that increase, you're gonna be under recovering about $858,000 by FY 2027, and then about $1 million per year, and then again, on a cumulative basis, about $3.5 million. So, let's talk about what we would recommend for proposed rate increases. Okay. So what we're recommending on the water side is that for fiscal year 27 through fiscal year 2030, so for 4 years, a $1 increase in the minimum bill, okay? Now, we did that, to be clear, so you'll see your 3/4 inch meters, that's going up $1 per year to 27, to 28, to 29, to 30. Now, again, remember, those larger meters can take a proportionally greater amount of water, and so we're using the same multiplier that we've used for setting the original minimum charges, and so those increase a little bit more based on that capacity. Again, these multipliers for the meters, for instance, I think the 6-inch meter or the 4-inch meter is like 30 times normal volume. Your system has to be able to provide water to these folks whether they use it or not. So by setting the demand charge, this base rate, based on the multiplier of how many times much more water they can take than a 5/8 inch, you're making sure to recover water from those larger meter customers in an equitable manner. Towards the left. Up there? Did it too much? Okay, on the water rates, we're recommending a 7% increase in the residential and commercial volumetric rates. So you can see those right there. So 7% per year for fiscal years 2027 through 2030. Again, on the wastewater side, because of the significant indebtedness that's going to be coming on, we need some bigger rate increases there. So instead of a $1 increase on the minimum bill, we're talking about a $3 increase each year. So that would go from $25.80 in 2026 to $28.80 in 2027, and then continue on as shown there. Same for the commercial. With regard to the volumetric for wastewater, again, with that debt service coming on, it was a huge positive to do that 18% increase for fiscal year 26. One more of those is needed in 2027 in the volumetric rates, and then a 10% and 5%. And then from there, you're in good shape. So what does that mean for your over-under recovery? So very quickly, and I'm not going to go over, but if you look at the third line, that's your over-under for the water for fiscal year 26 through 30. You can see you're at 296,000, that doesn't change. But you're able to stay positive every year, and you end up with a cumulative over-recovery on the fourth line in 2030 of $731,000. For the wastewater, the second from the bottom line, the over-under, again, even with the big increase in 2027, you still go negative 344,000. But again, because you have that over-recovery in the prior year, you're able to dip into that reserve. You still stay positive with the $232,000. Think of that as having a savings account, and it's a rainy day, so you're drawing some money out of there. Again, fiscal year 2028, you're raising those rates. And again, we balanced raising them quicker to go positive with, because you had these reserves, we were trying to phase in the rates and keep the increases as low as possible for as long as possible. So even with the 10% increase in FY 2028 on the volumetric, you still under recover, but you still have just enough reserves where you're at 47,417 in 2028. Then in 2029 and 2030, you're positive. On the bill comparison, so for your typical residential customer that uses 575 cubic feet, their current bill is $33.32. You can see that that bill goes up on average less than 5% a year. And the reason, even though we had that volumetric rate increase of 7% a year on the volumetric, because the minimum charge is going up only $1 and it's at like $26, that's about 3%, 4%, and that's a larger percentage of the total dollar amount. So that from a water standpoint is great, even with some of those major rehab projects you have going on with the tanks, that you're able to keep your rate increases for the next 4 years, 27 through 30, for the water to under 5%. And again, while no one likes water rate increases, no one likes rate increases. I have yet to find where I've stood, and I've been doing this 30 years, that someone said, thank you for raising our rates. I will tell you that these rates are very low water rates that an average household can spend, even by fiscal year 2030, less than $50 for water. We have a lot of clients that the water bills for that level of consumption are double, triple that. So again, while no one likes rate increases, that amount of water for $39.59, and we're talking 4 years out, is really good. The wastewater side, when you look at that, well, we've got the commercial first. You can see the commercial. Again, more consumption, 5,000 cubic feet. You're at $144 in fiscal year 2026 on the second to bottom line. And by 2030, it's up to $185. These go up a little bit more at 6%, again, because they're using more water, and the volumetric rates were going up 7%. So it makes sense their rates go up a little bit more. On the wastewater side, for the residential, and again, using the 575 cubic feet, your total current bill is at $59.73 for 2026. There is a good increase in 2027 of about 15%, going to $68, and then a 10% increase, and then just under 7%. So you're ultimately at $81. Again, one of the things that I will mention to folks, wastewater, it's actually becoming very common, and it's the norm. Wastewater costs considerably more from a treatment standpoint. So honestly, that the wastewater there, when you're looking at your total bill for your residential customer, let me go back, you're at about $60 in 2026. Yep. So $33. There we go. Well, now we're to the end. Bottom line, you've got your average residential customer, water, wastewater's $100 in total. And then going up from there, no one likes the rate increases, but we have clients that are having $200 and $300 bills for residents. So, that's where we are with that. Again, the commercial customers, similar with the increases we were talking about. So with that, what we would recommend is the rate increases we laid up here or proposed for fiscal years 26 through 30. With that, I'd be glad to take any questions you have.
All right, I'll come up with a question here.
No,
Oh, I didn't know if they worked here or not.
they're working on it, Dave.
Okay, I read your study here, and I read the one you had before this also. You recommended that, for your sewer, we're based off the water. You take your months from November to the end of April, and then you average those up, and then you take the highest and lowest and you use
Is
it?
it 4 months? I think it's
Something like that, let me see here.
okay, 6 months.
Councilman Williams,
You're taking the winter average.
yeah, the winter average we're running is a 6-month winter average, and we are not dropping a lower high on either one.
Yeah, according to their study here, they recommended to do that, to use the 4-month winter and then drop it high-low. The reason I bring this up, I see a lot of guys watering their grass in April. They start up their sprinkler systems, they wash down their driveways because the weather's breaking a little bit. People are getting antsy because we have long winters. And they're spraying all that water down the gutter. I understand with his study why he does this. It's because it's not right for us to bill somebody a sewer rate off the water if it's going on their grass, or it's going down the gutter, or it's going on their car. So I don't know why we go with the study, they recommend to do it that way, why we don't do it that way, the way the 4-month one, and you take high and low, just to avoid us billing somebody that we shouldn't be billing them for. So, like I said, I understand why you put that in here. I don't understand why the city of Greenwood does not follow that, so.
Councilman, again, that was brought up in the last study and in the current study. I agree both. At that time, the council did not wish to change the ordinance at that time. That is an ordinance change that we would need to do on that, and if the council so wishes to, we can make that happen.
Okay, I would like to see council address that issue, because I think it's illegal, actually, in my opinion, that we bill somebody for water going down the street or on their grass, and I don't think we should be doing that. It might just be a minute amount of money, but I think we should look at doing something about that in the near future. So, that's all I have there.
We'll have a workshop on it. We can discuss it
Yes, you can.
if the council wants to.
If
Yes,
they don't,
Mr.
we
Mayor,
don't.
you may.
We'll see.
Probably not.
I have a question. Thank you for the presentation. Maybe Chris can answer this. Besides, for the reserves, besides the deficits to cover that in future years, what else would that reserve be used for?
Well, currently, we're gonna need every bit of that reserve to maintain, and then as you'll notice, the reserve, when it gets into the spot where it's relatively low, those would be reserves for future capital projects that are not in the rate study. And at that point, we would probably reassess, readdress that, and then reassign those reserves, or look at the new rate study and build capital in, just as they've done in this one, and say, okay, are rates adequate, over, under, or where they're at to do that. Nugent has done a very good job of keeping those reserves relatively low, under $300,000 in both cases, which is about as low as you can get. That actually is very close to as low as we want to get. That doesn't allow for any capital emergencies, such as 2 years ago when we had the water pipe burst below the river that was almost $1 million cost that we didn't anticipate, that we had to come up with and deal with that. So we do want to keep a certain amount of reserves in place for some emergencies, just like the water tanks. We got a little bit of bad news on those, and we're hoping to try to facilitate those through other options other than capital planning. So again, they've done a very good job of keeping those reserves as low as possible. And sometimes that might be a bit low, but we've got to also take consideration in the residents to keep our rates as affordable as we can at the same time.
Any other questions, comments from council? All right. Well,
Thank you.
Thank you for your work, and we'll obviously take your recommendation under advisement, and we'll see where we go.
All right, Mr. Mayor, that's all we had for the workshop tonight, so a little quicker than we thought. Did you want to take a recess until 7 o'clock for the council meeting, or?
Yes.
Sounds good. We'll do that then. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
It was a bad taste in my mouth. We had other options we could have went to, a little bitty town like this, we would be crippled. But, can we do, can't rely on spill now.
Okay, the council says it's close enough to 7 at 6:59. I'll call this meeting to order. If I could have our new superintendent of School District Number 2, Scott Cooper, lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Scott. Okay, if we could have a motion to approve the agenda.
Mayor,
Councilman Shutter.
I make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Shutter and seconded by Councilman Berg. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay, the first item on the agenda is the pinning ceremony for newly promoted Sergeant Brad Dodson. So I'll turn this over to Sean Sterlickson, our police chief.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Retirement earlier this year left us in need of a new detective sergeant. The promotional process took us a little longer than we expected, but we've finally finished our weeks of rigorous testing, and we've chosen Brad Dodson to fill that role. Before coming to serve at Green River PD, Brad worked for the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office in Montana for 11 years. There he served as a patrol officer, narcotics detective, and as undersheriff for a while. Since coming here, Brad has really taken on a community-oriented role. I think that's probably always been his role. You can always find him volunteering for something, working with kids, and he just really embodies what we try to be at Green River PD. He was promoted to detective just a few months ago, but he's shown a knack for that as well. He's obviously got experience prior to this that helps him there, but we expect big things out of Brad, and we hope he enjoys his time in the detective division leading that group. So tonight we want to recognize him for his promotion. We're going to pin him with his sergeant chevrons. His wife Katie is here to do that, so without further ado, we'll let her pin him on and say congratulations.
Okay, with that, I'm going to take a 30-second recess in case there's anybody here that would like to leave that was here for the presentation for Sergeant Dodson. Okay? Thank you guys all for coming, and thanks to the police department for all you guys do. Okay, next on the agenda is a presentation from the Green River Arts Council. Is there anybody here from the Green River Arts Council that would like to address the city council?
So good evening, my name's Tiffany Asher, and this is Ashley Sweat. We're both proud members of the Green Rivers Art Council.
We want to sincerely thank you guys. We want to, especially Mayor Rust and all of you guys for supporting the Arts Council and everything you guys have done for us. Your partnership has helped keep the arts alive and thriving in our community. We'd like to extend a warm invitation for all of you to join us for the Artist Banquet on Saturday, August 16th, after Art on the Green wraps up. The banquet is a big part of our event. And this year it's like a super special day because it's our 20th anniversary. And as y'all know, it was actually originally organized by Rudy Gunter, who is no longer with us. He has helped grow the tradition, and we're hoping to keep it alive. For anyone who may not be familiar, Art on the Green is a 24-hour live art competition. It brings together artists of all ages, skill levels, and mediums to create original works within just one day. It takes place Friday, August 15th, and Saturday, August 16th, in conjunction with the River Festival, which is down at the Expedition Island. We encourage everyone to come walk around, meet the artists, and watch the creativity unfold. In addition to the main competition, we host a silent auction featuring artwork and photography from local artists in the area. The procedures help fund future community art projects and events. We also have an exciting Battle on the Green, which is a fast-paced quick draw contest where artists are given a surprise topic and just 30 minutes to create something amazing. There are 3 rounds, and one winner is crowned at the end. After that, we will have an unveiling of several new sculptures, which will be placed down at the pavilion. So be sure to stick around to come see those. And then also, we haven't forgotten our youngest artists. We do have a kids corner, which will be offering free hands-on art activities for kids to come and enjoy. Some other things that the Art Council has been working on is we are proud to continue our support and partnership with the Plain Air event that happens with the Community Fine Arts Center in Rock Springs. So this year they held it in Rock Springs, so next summer we will be holding it here in Green River. So we're pretty excited to do that once again. We also have completed 2 more Power Box wraps. So the winners for those designs were Shalina Beaver and Jared Sharp. You can find these at Veterans Park and Stratmeyers Park. So be sure to go look at those and check them out. In addition, the Rec Center continues to host the Art in Public Places program. This is a rotating gallery for local artists and to display their artwork, and they can even sell them if they please or want to. So if you haven't visited the Rec Center, you should do that. Lastly, one thing I would like to highlight is last year we had a bear sculpture by Jeff Rudolph that we unveiled. And we are actually its permanent home now is Evers Park, or Evers Park. And we are working closely with the Parks and Rec Department to put new landscaping in that area, so there'll be irrigation. Dogwoods? So we're trying to make it look even prettier with that bear sculpture. So if you can, go check it out. Thank you again for your time and support, and we hope to see you at the Artist Banquet on Saturday, August 16th, and everybody come see us down at the island for the art competition that Friday. And I hope you guys have a great evening. And here's tickets.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Love the Green River Arts Council.
Thank you.
Oh, just right. Thank you, ladies. Okay, now I'd like to introduce Scott Cooper, the superintendent of School District Number 2, and he would just like to introduce himself.
Thank you very much. Thanks for this opportunity. Very honored to be here, be the new superintendent of the school district. Just a little bit about my background quickly. I'm coming up from the western slope of Colorado, mostly the Grand Junction area, but also the southwest corner of the state. I've been a superintendent of large districts and small districts. I've been a principal, classroom teacher, special ed teacher, career technical education director, and just several other duties in between there as well. So I bring all that experience here to Sweetwater County and to the Green River school system. I'm just very excited about this opportunity. Specifically, right now, we're about to launch into a lot of career tech ed and a lot of work-based learning development with our students out of Green River High School. And I'm very excited about that work because recently I've done about a solid 5 years invested in that very type of work on the western slope, mostly from east of Grand Junction all the way up to Aspen, serving several districts and schools, helping them build out their career technical education departments and their work-based learning opportunities, making those connections with industry partners to facilitate career paths for students as they graduate so they can continue right on into the workforce. This has been such a warm welcome up here in Green River. It's been really, really nice. And I can tell that there's such a strong community of support around supporting our schools and our students, which is excellent. So we have strong schools, we have great staff, great facility, great systems in place, great programming in place. And then we also have a strong community, and that's all of you. And I really, really appreciate that because that's something I was looking for, to have that great relationship between strong communities and strong schools, then that you are able to provide just great outcomes for the kids and opportunities for the students. A big part of my 90-day entry plan is doing this, a lot of outward communication, a lot of kind of a listening tour, but also an outward strengthening of our communication networks. This is a huge part of our strategic plan work with our school board and our district. Communication and collaboration. It's one of our 3 main pillars. If you visit our website, we've done some recent work to revitalize our website and make it a little more friendly to help with communication. Just a couple of quick examples. We have our strategic plan there with 3 main pillars, obviously around achievement, right, for the students, around the health and wellness for the students, but also around communication and collaboration. It's a big part of what I'm doing today, and I'll be doing that a lot throughout the years. You'll also find on our website, we've added a link now so that you can watch a live stream into our board meetings. And it's not very complicated to find. If you click on board, then right away, the first thing you'll see at the top is a big live link. So we added that recently at the last board meeting just to help make it easier for our community to stay engaged with some of those board meeting conversations and to stay in tune with what we're working on. I'm very excited. There's a big day coming up, and all of you are probably excited about this day too. August 20th is our first day of school, right? It's coming up very soon, and we're going to have thousands of kids and hundreds of parents out in the streets and out in front of our schools. So please be careful, and please spread the word that day's coming, and it's going to be a lot of congestion the first couple of days of school as we start up, and all of our great officers will be out there as well to help patrol the traffic and keep everyone their speeds down and what have you. But we're very excited about starting up the school year. We have a lot of great things in place, including what you're going to see recently. We have a new scoreboard. Maybe you've heard about it or you've driven by. So we're putting together a package right now, some kind of an infomercial package. It's a great 3-dimensional graphic type scoreboard, so it's really impressive to see. And once we get that up and running, hopefully later this week or into next week, we're going to invite the community to come out and see and get the newspaper out there and see what we've been able to put up. A lot of other schools in Wyoming already had this type of scoreboard. It's not just for keeping score, and it's not also for advertisements for local businesses, but it also allows us to host then state-level track competitions and things like that we haven't been able to host because our scoreboard couldn't keep track of all the different events simultaneously. This new one can. So we're very excited about that new piece of technology that's starting up right now. My contact, I didn't have any business cards made yet, and I will have them soon, but my contact's really easy to find. I'm Scott.Cooper at, I'm going to test me now, let's see, swcsd2.org, right? That's the email, the email handle that all the staff have. So I'm Scott.Cooper, easy to find. You can find me on the web more easily. We added a superintendent link with my letters. Hopefully, maybe you've seen some of my letters out to, at least there was a letter out to community recently, and hopefully you're able to see that. If not, it's on the website, and you can find a link to send me a message or give me a call. And also, I'm willing to give up my cell phone at any time if anybody would like that for very quick communication, because I want to make sure that everything we're doing is as transparent as possible, and we're fostering perfect, or not perfect, nearly perfect communication with all of our stakeholders in the community. So just in closing, just very happy to be here. You have a wonderful community. I'm very honored to be in this role. I'm very excited about this work. Out of all those positions I told you about that I've done for my past 25 years, the superintendency is the most enjoyable for me. I really am passionate about this work. I think I'm very good at this work, and I'm very excited and honored that the school board selected me for this role. And I'm looking forward to future partnerships with you as the opportunities for collaboration come up throughout the school years. So thank you very much for this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Welcome to Green River.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to take a 30-second recess, just in case there's a few people that would.
Scott, can I get, I would like to talk to you about a couple things.
Yeah,
Can
what
I
was-
get your phone number just real
Yeah,
quick?
970-739-4016, and you can just shoot me a text anytime. But I also have the email online, scott.cooper. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
definitely. Nice to meet you guys. Thank you.
Thanks again, Scott. Okay. Item 6, citizen requests and other communications. Are there any citizens in the audience that are not on the agenda that would like to address the council? Seeing none, item 7, board and committee appointments. Reappointment of Gary Kilpack to the Sweetwater County Specific Purpose Tax Joint Power Board. So Gary's term's expired and would like to reappoint him. Do we have a motion?
Mayor,
Councilman Shuttry.
I move to reappoint and ratify the de facto representation of Gary Kilpack as Joint Powers Board member to a new term beginning July 1st, 2024 and expiring June 30th, 2027.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Shuttry and seconded by Councilman Williams. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Gary. Item 8, council action items. Consideration of an agreement with HDR Engineering Incorporated.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Mark Wesmisco, Public Works Director. Every 3 to 5 years, we have an inspection done on our water tanks. And we recently had an inspection done on our 3 water tanks, and most of the time, the inspection says, watch this or look for that. And this particular time, it said, watch this, look for that, and you might want to talk to somebody about this issue. So what we have here tonight is an agreement with HDR Engineering for us to be able to access their structural engineering capabilities and experience with water tanks, to have them come and take a look at our tanks and give us some recommendations. Given the age of our tanks, if they're getting to a point where we need to start paying a little bit of attention to them and make sure that they're going to give us the life that they need to. So.
Okay. Any questions for Mark? Okay, entertain a motion.
Mayor,
Councilman Bushman.
I move to enter into an agreement with HDR Engineering Incorporated to provide professional services and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement for the Green River Tank Rehab Feasibility Review Project, which carries a not-to-exceed cost of $9,750.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Bushman, seconded by Councilman Kilpack. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, consideration to approve and accept the 2 state Homeland Security Program grant agreement amendments with the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security.
Mayor, Council, Ryan Russman with American Grants. Before you is approval of some amendments to our current grant agreements with the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security. We received 2 grants in fiscal year '23, purchase some SCBA's and to install some transfer switches at various lift stations around the community. For a couple different reasons, which I can certainly explain, those projects have been delayed slightly. That grant is coming to a close next month.
questions? Okay, we'll entertain a motion. Councilman Mazer.
I move to approve and accept the two state Homeland Security Program grant agreement amendments with the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security pending legal approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Mazer, seconded by Councilman Berg. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, consideration to approve the submission of state Homeland Security Program grant applications to the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security.
And I apologize, on that last item, we have received legal approval since preparing this agenda item, just so you're aware. This item, similar, it's the same grant, but this typically opens early in the spring, and we've been very successful with this grant. Due to some federal review and federal grant issues, this has been delayed, the opening of this grant, until now. When it opened, the notice of funding opportunity had a window of 2 weeks, which is not much time to put together an application. Since that time, we've heard that the state is going to change the way that they're submitting their application. And so we've got a little bit of extra time through the end of September. But we had worked on this in the spring in anticipation of it opening and determined that our priority was a project to install some license plate readers for the police department. And then another second priority is to go after some additional funding for some more SCBA's for the fire department. This is a 100% federal funds grant, so there's no money required from the city of Green River. The license plate readers are projected to be somewhere around $120,000 for that project. And for the SCBA's, we're looking at requesting somewhere around $100,000. So this is just your approval for us to apply for those funds.
Anybody have any questions? Entertain a motion to?
Mayor,
Councilman Berg.
move to approve the submission of state Homeland Security Program grant applications to the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Berg, seconded by Councilman Shuttry. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 9 is the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Kilpack, seconded by Councilman Berg. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. That was quick. Mr. Acting City Administrator.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I don't have too much tonight. Steve sent you guys out a report for everybody today. The only other thing is Larry Erdman, Assistant Fire Chief, gave me some information about the fire protection levels earlier tonight, that the commissioners tabled theirs, but they think the Ashland National Forest and the BLM could be into level 1 fire restrictions between Thursday and this weekend sometime, and the commissioners will re-look at that on August 19th for their agenda. So more than likely, we'll see some new fire restrictions for everyone, just to kind of keep in mind it is dry and lots of fires out there. So with that, that's all I have, unless someone has questions.
Anybody have any questions for Chris? Okay. Galen?
I have no report tonight, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, Galen. So I'm going to go first, just because I want to tell everybody the good news. Their sales tax this month was $100,000, basically $1,128,000, which is almost $200,000 more than we budgeted. So that's good news, and we hope that it continues for months and months and months. Right, Chris? Okay. There's all kinds of events coming up, Spaceport Days, the shrimp boil, all those things. So encourage everybody to get out, but be careful, as the superintendent mentioned, with school starting August 20th. So, is that Sherry?
I attended the National High School Rodeo, and once again, they provided Green River their statue for Court Days, just a reminder, Friday night's gonna be the movie. Haven't quite mentioned it, but it's family fun. And then Saturday, we'll have our demonstration, that was last year. Pancake breakfast with the Boy Scouts, the ham radio will be there, so, you're gonna be able to hear the pilots over the speakers, because they're able to receive their fly-ins. So it's gonna be an exciting day. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Councilman Berg.
I have no report, Mayor.
Thank you.
I have
Robert.
no report this evening.
Thank you, Mike. Jessica?
I would just like to say thank you to everybody in all of Sweetwater County who's working so diligently this summer on doing all of the activities for our communities, because there's a lot going on in these 3 months, and I know that a lot of people are working really hard, so good job to everybody who's doing that, and thank you for doing that for our communities.
Well said, Jessica. Councilman Williams?
I have nothing to report.
Thank you, Ron. Councilman Kilpack?
I have nothing.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilman Berg, seconded by Councilwoman Mazer. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.